Hey everybody, in this video I'm reviewing Season 3 of Reacher, adapted from Persuader, the ninth book in the Jack Reacher novels by Lee Child. This time, Reacher goes undercover in a sleepy Maine town, infiltrating the shady empire of Zachary Beck, a businessman with a knack for smuggling, and a deadly bodyguard named Paulie. Season 3 sees Reacher teaming up with a pair of DEA agents to take down Beck's operation, all while chasing a ghost from his past named Quinn. Unlike last season, which was set in several major cities, and had a large cast and scope, Season 3 is more of a tense, slow-burn thriller, like more traditional Jack Reacher stories. And the show captures that vibe well, especially in the early episodes with the fake kidnapping twist. They've streamlined some parts for TV, which makes sense. 8 episodes can't fit every page of a 400-page novel. It's not a word-for-word retelling, but it keeps the spirit of the book alive. And honestly, that's what matters most. After Season 2, which leaned hard into a team-up vibe with Reacher's old 110th unit, I like Season 3's back-to-basics approach. Now, don't get me wrong, Bad Luck and Trouble was fun, but it didn't quite feel like classic Reacher. In the books, he's a lone wolf, drifting to town, solving problems with his fists and his brain, then moving on. Season 2 felt like too much of a long, team-up movie. Season 3 brings back the lone wolf aspect of the character. Yeah, he's got the 2 DEA agents breathing down his neck, and Neely on speed dial, but for the most part, Reacher's out there on his own, navigating Beck's compound, outsmarting everyone around him. It's a return to form that makes this season feel more grounded and true to the character that we love. Less buddy cop, more one-man wrecking crew, which is classic Reacher. Now, let's talk about the action, because Season 3 delivers some serious bone-crunching moments. From the get-go, that staged kidnapping sets the tone, fast, brutal and chaotic. The fights are gritty and visceral, with Alan Ritchson throwing his weight around like a human tank. There's a stand-up moment in episode 6 in a forest as Reacher takes down goons left and right that seems inspired by Rambo 2. He even puts on mud to camouflage himself. And of course, we've got to mention the finale's big showdown with Paulie, which we'll dive into later. The action's not as frequent as Season 2's shootouts, but that's understandable since Reacher spends most of this season undercover. And that's what I like especially about this season's story. There's real suspense because Reacher could have his cover blown at any moment, which would not only get himself killed, but a confidential informant that's gone missing, and who he's trying to save. When the action hits, it hits hard. It's less about quantity and more about quality, with every punch and gunshot feeling earned. If you're here for Reacher breaking bones, you won't be disappointed. And one thing I like that they don't shy away from is Reacher's ruthlessness. He has no problem shooting bad guys in the back, or killing a prisoner just because he can't find any rope to tie them up with. They seem to have no problem that he has absolutely no mercy when it comes to the bad guys. But in fairness, they are really, really bad guys, and deserve what's coming to them. Okay, one problem I had with the show this season was a technical one, and that was the show's colour grading. Something was off. The whole season has this weird yellow tinge, like someone spilled mustard all over the screen and forgot to wipe it off. It's especially noticeable in the outdoor scenes along the main coast, where everything looks unnaturally warm and washed out. I get they might have been going for a moody, gritty vibe to match the undercover tension, but it just ends up feeling ugly and distracting. Compared to Season 1's crisp, natural look, or even Season 2's sharper palette, this feels like a misstep. It's not a deal breaker, but every time I noticed it, I couldn't unsee it. At first I thought it was my TV's settings, but no, it seems to be the way the show was colour graded in post-production. One of the standout surprises of this season is Reacher's bond with Richard Beck, the kid that he saves in that fake kidnapping. In the books, Richard's a minor player, but here he becomes the emotional heart of the story. Reacher takes him under his wing, and we get these quiet, almost fatherly moments, like when he teaches Richard how to stand up to bullies or gives him a shot at a fresh start. This is a side of Reacher that we don't get to see very often, and Alan Ritchson plays it very well, balancing the gruff exterior with genuine care. It adds a layer to Reacher's character, showing he's not just a killing machine, he's got a heart, especially for the little guy caught in the crossfire. It's a small change from the novel, but it's one of the best additions of the season. Now, once again, we have to talk about Frances Neely, because she's basically a Reacher series regular now. Now, for those of you who don't know the books, Neely is actually a minor character, popping up in only a handful of the novels, but never a constant presence. Yet here she is in season 3, right along Reacher again, even though she's nowhere in the book. Look, I get it. She's a fan favourite, and Maria Sten is really good in the role with her cool confidence and dry humour. This season, she's mostly on the sidelines in Chicago, feeding Reacher intel, but you can feel her itching to jump into the action. It's a big departure from the source material, and with her spin-off in the works, it's clear the showrunners are banking on the character's popularity. Honestly, I'm torn. I like Neely, but part of me misses Reacher being truly alone like he is in the books. If I was a cynical person, I would say the producers elevating her to co-lead status is for woke DEI reasons. They can't seem to have a strong white masculine male character in TV and movies today without having at least 2 strong female characters to balance it out. But since I'm not a cynical person, for the book fans out there, season 3 has some fun Easter eggs that make you smile, like Reacher's toothbrush. It's that iconic foldable one he always carries, a symbol of his minimalist drifter life. They even sneak it into the premiere when he grabs it escaping the motel. Then there's a dent on his old desk from his flashback of Quinn, straight out of the book. A tiny detail that ties into his past with Dominique Cole. These Easter eggs are subtle but rewarding, showing the writers care about the lore. Sure, they tweak bigger stuff? We'll get to that. But these small touches, like Reacher's love of dogs, or his knack for noticing details, keep the spirit of Lee Child's world intact. It helps that Child is an executive producer on the show. Did you spot any other book callbacks? So how does season 3 stack up to the actual novel Persuader? It's faithful in spirit, but there are some big changes. As I said before, Neely's edition, she's not in the book at all, and her presence shifts the dynamic. Then there's Elizabeth Beck, Zachary's wife. She's alive and a key figure in the novel, but here she's long dead, which cuts out a creepy subplot with Paulie. Richard's arc gets elevated too. In the book, he doesn't get that drifter pep talk from Reacher. And the tech's updated, of course. No tiny email device in Reacher's boot. Now it's a burner phone, which makes sense for 2025, but feels less sneaky. In fairness, I can understand this, as it wouldn't really make for good television to have Reacher sending emails. It's more dramatic to see him having secret phone conversations with Duffy. That puts him in more danger of being discovered. But I think most of these changes streamline the story for TV without losing their essence from the book. What's your favourite change from the book, or the one that you hated? Speaking about Duffy, the DEA agent played by Sonia Cassidy, she can be a bit much. She's tough, no nonsense, bit too girl bossy for my liking. And there's something about her that grates. Maybe it's the over-the-top Boston accent that feels forced, or how she's constantly posturing to prove she's as badass as Reacher. In the book, Duffy's a solid partner, but here she's got this emotional edge that makes her sloppy at times, like pushing Reacher into a fling that feels tacked on. She's not awful, her action scenes are good, and she is kind of funny at times, but compared to Roscoe or Dixon from past seasons, she doesn't quite click. I found myself rolling my eyes more than rooting for her. Did she annoy you too, or am I being too harsh? By far, however, the highlight of the season is Reacher's rivalry with Paulie, Beck's massive henchman. This fella is so big, he makes Reacher look like a midget. One of my complaints of last season is that Reacher was becoming too much of a Steven Seagal character, too indestructible and no one being able to stand up to him. It got to a point where I almost felt sorry for the bad guys. With Paulie, however, we finally have a villain that's a serious threat to Reacher, one who Reacher is actually scared of. At one point, midway through the season, Paulie knocks Reacher down with one slap, and Reacher is actually humiliated for once. Reacher wants to avoid a fight if possible. There's growing tension throughout the season as the two exchange insults at each other, which builds anticipation for the fight that's sure to come. When that final fight comes, it's well worth waiting for. This fight goes on for nearly 20 minutes across multiple locations, and involves fists, elbows, pitchforks, and even a heavy machine gun gets involved. Alan Ritchson is on record saying filming the fight was the hardest 3 weeks of his life, and you can feel every ounce of that effort. It's not just the best fight out of the season, it might be the best of the series so far. So, that's season 3 of Reacher in the books, or, well, on the screen. It's a solid return to form after season 2's team-up detour, bring back that lone wolf vibe we love, while adapting the book with enough flair to keep things fresh. The action has a great old-school feel to it, especially that Reacher-Paulie showdown, Richard's subplot adds heart, and those little book nods are a treat for fans. Yeah, it's got its flaws. The weird yellow colour grading is a head scratcher. Duffy's a bit of a mixed bag, and some changes from the novel might ruffle purist feathers. But overall, it's a gritty, satisfying show that proves Alan Ritchson's Reacher still has plenty of fight left in him. I'd give it a strong 8 out of 10. Maybe an 8.5 if I'm feeling generous after that finale. So what did you think of Season 3? Did that yellow tinge drive you nuts? Or were you too busy cheering for Reacher to notice? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this review. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.